Hello guys, what is up? It's King Christo here, and today I bring you all episode 1 of Pre-Built PCs in Peril. Now this is the first episode, and because of this I will do a quick rundown of the new series. Basically I'll use websites such as Amazon or Newegg to find pre-built PCs, and then judge them to find whether they're a good PC for the money or not, and show everyone how much money you would save if you built your own PC. Before I get into the video, my Discord server will be linked below. If you're an active subscriber, I highly suggest you join so I can get to know you. My Patreon will also be down below if anyone would like to support the channel. So first off, I searched quote-unquote gaming PC on Amazon and came across this PC. It seemed fairly budget-oriented, and after looking at the specs, I realized that this PC may not actually be half bad. It costed $830 and actually has a GTX 1063GB card and a 7th generation Intel Core i5. With these specs, you would most likely feel content in most games at high settings on 1080p. For a second here, I hypothesized that this PC may not actually be terrible for the price, and so far, I was impressed by the system by CyberPower PC. Now I immediately launched PC Part Picker to start making a parts list as similar as possible to the list for this PC. As expected, I added the same processor used in the PC, the i5-7400, which took about $175. I knew overclocking the i5-7500 was not an option, and after examining pictures, the motherboard seemed to be micro ATX, so I added a fairly loaded micro ATX B250 motherboard. Specifically, I chose the ASRock B250M Pro 4 for $75. Next, it came with 8GB of memory, which seemed to be dual channel, so for $74, I added two 4GB Christo ballistic sticks running at 2400 MHz. The build then claimed to contain a 120GB SSD and a 1TB hard drive, so I added a 128GB SSD by My Digital SSD for $55 and a 1TB 7200 RPM Seagate Barracuda Pro hard drive. After looking into the build, I couldn't decide which 1063GB was in the build, so I simply went after a card with the correct chip. The 1063GB by EVGA is both well rated and costed $215, so I added it to the build. I could tell that the case was the Cooler Master Masterbox Lite 5, so I added the exact case as well for almost $60. Next, I added Windows 10 Home for $30 by Kingwin, which is the operating system the PC came with. I added on 4 Thermaltake red LED ring fans, just as the build seems to include, for $13 each, and finally the Cooler Master Devastator 2 keyboard and mouse combo. Now after adding everything up, I concluded my hypothesis was indeed correct. The total of my build came to $835. This surprised me that the first build I come across would be a good deal, as most pre-builds follow the exact opposite path. Overall, especially if you like the looks of this PC and are not able to build your own for whatever reason, this pre-built gets my seal of approval, assuming it stays under the price of $830. The link for the PC will be down below. At this point, I realized how littered Amazon was with PCs by CyberPower PC, so I decided to give it another go. The only difference, this time, I decided to go with the high end. For $2 entire grand, the company was selling a PC which I immediately could tell was all just marketing. It came with an i7-7700K and a GTX 1080, which although the combo is amazing for gaming, a similar system could be made for much less. But then again, I just couldn't stop staring at what was the RGB cooler, so overall it must be worth the money, right? Once again, I started adding parts. I chose the same i7-7700K used in the build, which costed a good $320. This PC boasted liquid cooling, so just like it, I added a liquid cooler sporting a 120mm radiator. This was by Cooler Master and costed $60. The 7700K is able to be overclocked, so I added a Gigabyte Z270 ATX motherboard, which seemed to match if not have more features than the motherboard in the build. Remember how earlier I said that the PC was a marketing strategy? Now here's why. It comes with 32GB of RAM. For gaming, this is totally not needed, as most games cap at 16GB. The average consumer simply sees this and thinks, holy moly, it must be worth a ton. Needless to say, I added 4 8GB sticks of RAM, totaling $256. and includes a 480GB SSD, which I found for $140, and also a 3TB HDD, which you can purchase by Seagate for $90. Finally, the 1080. Unless you're building in a small case, I don't ever suggest buying a blower style 1080, as you can easily hit thermal throttling. This PC came with one, but I added a 3-fan cooler design GTX 1080 by Gigabyte for $530 anyways, just to improve the cooling. This case that the PC came with was the NZXT S340 Elite, which cost $90 at the time, so I did the exact thing. Finally, the power supply. According to the people in the questions, it was an 800 watt PSU, which I think was due to the 7700K and the GTX 1080. I added an 850 watt bronze rated PSU by EVGA with all black cables for $75. Finally, I added Windows 10 Home for $30 by Kingwin, an $18 PCIe Wi-Fi card to connect to the internet wirelessly, and once again, the cooler Master Devastator mouse and keyboard combo for $25. This brought the total of the build to slightly under $1,750. If you remember, the original PC itself costed $2,000. This means that if you were able to build your own PC instead of purchase this one, you would save at least $250. Keep in mind, I did also add some small upgrades such as graphics card with a better cooler and most likely higher quality parts overall. This is the type of system I am glad to have found, so I can point out the flaws and save your wallet a bit if you do need something with similar specs. If you think about it, with an extra $250, you could spend that on getting a GTX 1080 Ti in the build instead of the GTX 1080, or spend it on higher quality peripherals. Overall, I am not able to suggest this PC over building your own. So I hope everybody enjoyed the first episode of Pre-Built PCs in Peril. I definitely think that this is a series that is going to be a lot of fun, and I will continue it as long as you guys like it too. Once again, my Discord server is down below if you guys are interested in joining. If you enjoyed the video, remember to give it a like, and if you have any feedback, definitely comment down below. If you really enjoyed the video, even consider subscribing to the channel. Without further ado, this is King Christo signing off, and peace out.